In today's flip chart session, we're going to be talking about adjusted recognition for gender. It's termed as ARG, adjusted recognition for gender, and it's a very clever concept that the codes have, which eliminates the need for every single target to recognize black men and black women. It doesn't ask us to measure black men and black women in each of the tables. It just says spend on black individuals if we're looking at skills development. But what happens with the adjusted recognition for gender is it allows for a recognition or a question mark over how much support is being given to women in the total expenditure. So in order to achieve this, what they would have had to do previously is they would have had to ask the question on every element of the scorecard, what is the BE spend for training, let's just say. And then they would have had to ask, what is the BE spend on black women? So there are two different things they would have had to ask, and the tables would have been double the size because they would have asked the same of black people and black women all the way through. So here we would have looked at it and said, well, we spent 10 Rand on black people, and of that 10 Rand, we spent 5 Rand on black women. And that's the way that the scorecard should have been structured if it was a really basic table. Adjusted recognition for gender allows us not to have the second row in each of the tables. So the way it works is it says, and the calculation for adjusted recognition for gender is you take the total amount of spend that you're spending on black people, you divide it by 2, and you add back the percentage that you're spending on black women. So in the previous example, it's 10 Rand on black people divided by 2, just because that's the way the calculation works, and add back the amount spent on black women. And if you take this equation to its end point, you have 10 over 2, which is 5 Rand, plus 5 Rand, which equals 10 Rand's recognition. And that's your adjusted recognition for gender result. So what it does is it says, without having 2 columns on the table, it allows this to calculate a fair split between men and women. This is a very important element to understand. This is limited to a maximum of half of the target. So let's look at an example. If we spend 10 Rand on black people, and we spend of that 10 Rand on women, in other words, we only train women, then the calculation looks like this. 10 Rand on black people divided by 2, and add back the spend on black women. Now, if we didn't have a limitation, that would say 10 Rand, and that would end up being 10 over 2, which is 5 plus 10, would be 15, which would be more than we've actually spent. And that's why the limitation's in place. So we can't put 10 Rand down here in terms of the recognition for women. We can only put half the target as a maximum. The target is a full 10, so therefore we can only put 5 Rand down, and therefore we get full recognition for our 10 Rand spend. That's how adjusted recognition for gender works. It works like this in terms of the spend in skills development. It also works the same in employment equity, where you start to look at the targets, and instead of this being a Rand spend, this would be the actual percentage of black people in senior management, middle management, junior management, divided by 2, and add back the percentage of black women in that category, making sure it's not more than half of the target.